Happy Memorial Day. James, do we supposed to say Happy Memorial Day? Isn't the day that the people recognize the dead soldiers?
Right.
What happy about that?
You're not supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to say Happy Memorial Day.
What are you supposed to say?
You're supposed to say Memorial Day, and then look somber.
Some people say that today is what do they call this day? Hollow Day. You know what I mean?
HALLOW.
I guess, yeah. Like hollow ground.
Right.
But
like
they
Halloween.
said today is a hollow day. What does that mean?
The same thing
What?
as Holy Day, holiday,
And why would that be?
because it's holy.
What's holy about today?
You're supposed to be, because life is holy, and so is death.
How is that holy?
Whatever.
Death is not holy.
Okay.
Nothing holy about death. What the? But today is Memorial Day, and it's a remembrance of the men who died for you and me. And so may their souls rest in peace. Now that I understand wars better, I'm starting to realize that most wars, not all, I guess, there is a time to defend yourself, absolutely, but most wars are not necessary. And that the wars are brought on by evil people, evil governments and people like that, because they do it for money and power and ego, but they make the people who are dying put their lives out there. They make them feel obligated, and that it's a somehow another duty to die for your country. And you have young men in their 20s that are dying and have died because some egotistical government wanted money and power. They false power, but power. They make a lot of money off wars. They invest in machines and things like that. But they make you think you're doing it to because you're a patriot, you love your country. And then when you die, they hold a memorial service. Or if you happen to survive, they give you a reward to keep you unaware, unconscious of why they had the war. Isn't that amazing? Think about that. But that's the nature of human beings. Human beings are evil. You have no idea how wicked human beings are and what they would do for their own ego gratification. It's amazing. And so lots of men have died. In their mind, they thought they were dying for the country, but they were really dying for those who wanted to make more money and power and control. They made you sacrifice your life for their ego gratification, for their personal needs. Isn't that amazing? Think about that. There is no love. What we need in this world, and especially in my country, America, we need love. And love is not an emotional thing. I want you to know, if you feel emotional love, you have no love. If you feel emotional love, you have zero love. You call it hate love. I was thinking about, in the Bible it says, to love thy neighbor or something like that. And you think that, oh, you love your neighbor all nasty and mean. But you love your neighbor. But that's not the kind of love. And then your neighbor end up destroying you. Because that's not what it means. It means to understand your neighbor. It's to understand them. It doesn't mean you got to cater to them. Neighbor means not just the folks next door to you where you live, but all the people around you. It just means to understand them. It doesn't mean to emotionally say you love them or try to make yourself love them. That's not love. Understanding is love. It just means to understand. You will be surprised how this stuff that will not get to you that people do and the way they act, what they think, they're changing people, it will not bother you if you had understanding. And last week's biblical question was, which do you prefer? anger or understanding. You cannot have both. And you'll be surprised at the number of people who said anger. Well, you may not be surprised. I was surprised at the number of people who said they prefer anger. And did God say above all things get anger? Or did he say to get an understanding? Think about that. He never said above all things get anger or get angry. He said above all things get understanding. And the one thing I want to promise you, without a doubt, everyone who has anger has no understanding. They may have knowledge of what they read in the Bible or something they heard me or someone else say, but they literally do not have understanding and don't know it because they have confused knowledge with understanding because they can repeat what they heard, and what they heard was true, right? But they have repeated what they heard. They're repeating what they heard, and they call that understanding, and it's not. And those who prefer anger, you're evil. You're saying, I want to be evil. I want to serve the spirit of evil. They prefer to serve the spirit of anger. There are angry people, human beings, who believe that Jesus was angry, and they use that to justify being angry. And then they don't examine to see that the misery that they're having as a result of being angry, overreacting, fear, take everything personally, worry, anxiety, stress. You think Jesus had that? Think about it. The man who came and conquered the world, you think he had all those problems going on? Because they said Jesus had anger, and Jesus had, you're supposed to have it. Blind people. And so there are some people who prefer anger. I wish you well with that anger because you are being affected within you, and you don't even realize that it's because you have chosen anger over understanding. Above all things, get an understanding. And another thing I want to say quickly about, because you can't have both, you can only have one or the other. You can't serve two masters. One other quick thing I want you to understand is that I forgot. It left my mind. What's up? But you can't have both. You have understanding. And you can tell, if you really want to overcome, you can know for yourself. No one has to tell you if you have anger or not, or understanding. If you have anger or understanding, because you will be affected within by things that's happening outside of you and things that are happening inside of you. And you try to cover it up, but it's still there. You'll be like, oh, I'm not mad. I'm not worried. I'm not jealous. I'm not in my head. And you are. Really. Everyone, every human being that has anger are affected by the spirit of evil in them and by the spirit of evil outside of them, inside of others. And they try to cover it up, but you can't hide. Joe Biden, you can't hide. Joe Biden, you can't hide. It's amazing. It's a spiritual battle.